This story takes us back to the 17th century, when a rich and noble boy named Barnabas was living a happy life with his family. But everything changes when a dangerous sorceress curses him, transforming him into a horrible form and burying him alive in a grave. However, after 200 years, Barnabas is suddenly freed from his grave and returns to a world that has completely changed. But how did he survive in the grave for 200 years? And why did the sorceress curse him in the first place? We'll uncover all of this in today's story. The story begins in the year 1760 with the Collins family, a wealthy and noble family of just 3 members. The family includes young Barnabas and his parents, who owe their riches to Barnabas's father's thriving fishing business. His father had even established a town near the sea, far from America, which they named Collinsport. As their wealth grew, the Collins family built a grand mansion in the woods near the town, which they named Collinwood. Years passed, and Barnabas grew up in this privileged life. During this time, he began an affair with a maid working in their mansion named Angelique. One day, Angelique confessed her love to Barnabas and expressed her desire to marry him, but Barnabas, not feeling the same way, refused to marry her. Enraged by his rejection, Angelique turned to black magic to make Barnabas suffer. Her first act of vengeance was to kill Barnabas's parents by using her power to make part of the mansion collapse on them. Barnabas suspected that their demise wasn't natural. He began studying books on black magic to uncover the truth. During this time, he found his true love, a woman named Josette. Barnabas and Josette fell deeply in love, but their happiness enraged Angelique. Unable to tolerate their love, Angelique once again resorted to black magic. She cast a spell on Josette, bringing her under her control. Under Angelique's spell, Josette walked to a high cliff and jumped, ending her life before Barnabas could save her. Barnabas, heartbroken and unable to bear the loss of his love, also jumped from the cliff to end his own life. But to his shock, he survived the fall. Angelique had cursed him to become a vampire, ensuring that he would live forever with the pain of his loss. Now knowing his true nature, Barnabas confronted Angelique, but she manipulated the villagers into believing he was a monster. The villagers captured Barnabas, locked him in a coffin, and buried him alive. 2 centuries passed. The story now shifts to the year 1972, where we see a young woman named Victoria traveling to Collinsport by train. Once there, she takes a car ride to the grand Collinwood mansion. Upon her arrival, a servant named Billy opens the door and welcomes her inside. While exploring the mansion, Victoria notices a portrait of Barnabas hanging on the wall. Curious, she asks Billy about him. At that moment, Elizabeth, the head of the Collins family, appears and explains that Barnabas was a great and noble member of the family who lived long ago. Elizabeth introduces herself to Victoria and explains that she had placed an ad in the newspaper to hire a caretaker for her nephew David. She shares that the once thriving Collins family now consists of only a few members: herself, her rebellious daughter Carolyn, her brother Roger, and his son David. When Victoria asks about David's mother, Elizabeth reveals that she died tragically, drowning in the sea. However, David refuses to accept this and insists that he can still see and communicate with his mother. Caroline is also introduced to Victoria. Caroline is a mischievous and stubborn girl who often acts out in her own way. At dinner time, Elizabeth introduces Victoria to David's father, Roger. At the same time, a psychiatrist named Dr. Julia Hoffman joins them at the table. Elizabeth explains that since David claims he can still see and communicate with his mother, she felt the need to involve a psychiatrist. Meanwhile, Victoria notices someone at a distance, completely covered with a white sheet. It turns out that David had dressed up to scare Victoria, but his attempt doesn't faze her. Later, we see Victoria in her room, fixing her clothes, when she notices someone standing outside her door, once again covered with a sheet. Assuming it's David trying to scare her again, she confidently goes to pull the sheet off. But to her shock, it isn't David. Instead, she sees the spirit of Josette, who cryptically tells her he is coming. Before Victoria can make sense of this, Josette's spirit disappears. On the other side of the town, we see some workers digging into the ground. As they dig, they hit something hard beneath the soil. Clearing the dirt, they uncover a coffin. The workers, curious about their find, call their supervisor, who cuts the chains wrapped around the coffin. As soon as the coffin is opened, Barnabas is freed, and in his rage and hunger, he attacks the workers, killing them all one by one. After this, Barnabas makes his way back to his family home, the Collinwood mansion. In the garden, he encounters Billy, the family servant. Using his hypnotic powers, Barnabas takes control of Billy's mind and asks him if the Collins family still lives in the mansion. Billy confirms that they do. Barnabas then enters the house, where he begins to look at the royal furniture and decorations of his former home. While reminiscing, He explains the significance of these items to Billy. Inside the mansion, Barnabas meets Caroline and David. Caroline, seeing his disheveled appearance, assumes he's just a drunk and perhaps a madman who has wandered in. But David shows him the painting on the wall. Pointing to the portrait, David says, "This is you, isn't it?" Barnabas replies, "Yes, a great artist painted this picture of me long ago." At that moment, Elizabeth arrives and immediately tells Caroline and David to stay away from him. Taking Barnabas into a private room, she confronts him and demands that he stop this charade. To prove his identity, Barnabas leads Elizabeth to a hidden door in the house, which opens to reveal a secret basement. Until that moment, Elizabeth had no idea this basement even existed. Inside, she finds a treasure trove of diamonds and jewels. Seeing this, she is convinced that he is indeed Barnabas, the long-lost son of the Collins family. Still in disbelief, Elizabeth listens as Barnabas reveals his secret. He is a vampire. However, he assures her, "I will never harm anyone in this family." Later, the entire family gathers at the dinner table. Elizabeth introduces Barnabas to everyone as a distant relative of the family. During the meal, Dr. Julia arrives, and Elizabeth introduces her to Barnabas. Barnabas, still adjusting to the modern world, inquires about the family's fishing business. Elizabeth admits that the business is almost ruined because a woman named Angie has taken over, striking deals with all the local fishermen. Hearing this, Barnabas confidently declares, "Now that I have returned, I will rebuild our business and restore it to its former glory." As he speaks, Victoria enters the room. The moment Barnabas sees her, he freezes in shock. To him, it feels as though Josette has returned, as Victoria's face is identical to hers. Startled yet enchanted, Barnabas calls her Josette. Confused by his reaction, Victoria introduces herself, and the two begin to talk. After this, we see Angie, who is in fact the same Angelique who destroyed Barnabas's life 200 years ago. Using black magic, she turned herself into a witch and has managed to stay alive all this time by changing her identity. She has been living in a society with great respect, hiding her true nature. Angie arrives at her office and learns that during the previous night's excavation, her workers unearthed a 200-year-old coffin. However, she is shocked to hear that all her workers were brutally killed soon after. Sensing something unusual, Angie visits the site of the incident and becomes certain that Barnabas has been freed. She immediately heads to Collinwood and meets Elizabeth. While she is speaking with Elizabeth, Barnabas enters the room. As soon as they shake hands, Barnabas realizes that Angie is none other than Angelique. Barnabas takes her aside to another room to discuss the fishing business. Angie boldly declares, "This business is mine now, and you must have already figured out who I am." Barnabas replies, "Yes, I know exactly who you are. The same witch who destroyed my family and took everything from me. I should report you for practicing black magic." Angie laughs mockingly and says, "You can't do anything. No one will believe you. I have lived in this society for 200 years with great respect. Changing my identity is needed, and now, Collinwood is mine." After Angelique leaves, Barnabas reveals the truth to Elizabeth, explaining that Angie is the same witch who caused his parents' death and took away his love. He laments that he couldn't do anything to stop her back then. Elizabeth, however, encourages him, saying, "You can rebuild your business and take this family to greater heights once again." Motivated by her words, Barnabas begins by having the mansion renovated, restoring its former grandeur. He ensures that beautiful paintings adorn the walls, giving the mansion a majestic look. To revive the family fishing business, Barnabas enlists Billy's help. Together, they approach influential fishermen, and using his hypnotic abilities, Barnabas convinces them to stop working for Angelique and join the Collins family instead. Gradually, the fishing business begins to flourish once again. One day, Dr. Julia notices Barnabas peering into Caroline's room and examining a lamp curiously. This behavior raises her suspicions, and she decides to confront him. Dr. Julia, being a psychiatrist, tells Barnabas, "I specialize in understanding the human mind." Using her own methods and subtle hypnosis, she discovers the truth about him. She learns that Barnabas is a vampire. Concerned, she discusses this revelation with Elizabeth, asking, "Why are you allowing a vampire to stay here?" Elizabeth calmly responds, "I know what he is, but I also know he won't harm anyone in this house. Please keep this a secret." Meanwhile, Barnabas seeks Caroline's advice on how to understand love in the modern world. Caroline advises him, "First, you need to change your appearance and stop acting so strange. Blend in like a normal person so that people enjoy talking to you. Once you do that, you'll gradually learn how love works in today's world." The next day, we see Dr. Julia drawing blood from Barnabas. She has convinced him that replacing his blood with human blood will turn him back into a human. Barnabas, trusting her, agrees to the procedure. In the following scene, Barnabas and Victoria are seen walking together along the seashore. Their growing connection becomes evident. It seems that both of them have started to develop feelings for each other. Elsewhere, Angelique holds a meeting with her company's board members. They inform her that their business is steadily declining because Barnabas is reclaiming clients. Angry and frustrated, Angelique arranges a private meeting with Barnabas in the evening. During the meeting, she offers him a check, saying, "Take this money and leave the fishing business." Barnabas, however, refuses her offer, standing firm in his decision to rebuild the Collins family legacy. When Barnabas refuses Angelique's initial offer, she tries a different approach. She proposes that they run the fishing business together. But Barnabas, haunted by her past actions, rejects the idea outright. He tells her that he can never forget what she did to him, his family, and his love. Angelique is enraged by his refusal, but keeps her emotions hidden. Meanwhile, Victoria has a disturbing dream that takes her back to her childhood. In her dream, she recalls seeing Josette's spirit for the first time. As a child, Victoria would often talk to Josette's spirit, but her parents didn't understand her and assumed she was insane. They sent her to a mental institution, where she spent a lonely and painful childhood. She wakes up abruptly from the dream and, to her shock, sees Josette's spirit standing before her. Entranced, she follows the spirit through the mansion. The ghost leads her to the chandelier and reenacts her tragic suicide, jumping off in the same way she had died years ago. The vision leaves Victoria shaken. The next day, Barnabas decides to host a grand party at Collinwood, with the family's consent. He invites many prominent people from the town in an effort to restore the family's reputation. During the party, Barnabas notices David standing outside a room, muttering that his father, Roger, has forbidden anyone from entering. Suspicious, Barnabas sneaks inside and discovers Roger with a woman, clearly having an affair. Barnabas watches silently through the window, disgusted by Roger's actions. Later, Barnabas steps outside to find Victoria. They start talking, and Victoria opens up about her childhood. She confesses, "Since I was a child, I've been seeing the spirit of a girl. My parents never understood me, and my life was filled with loneliness. But one day, that spirit led me here to Collinwood, and after meeting you, I felt as though I've known you for centuries. It feels like fate brought us together." Overcome with emotion, Barnabas kisses her, and she responds in kind. However, their intimate moment is interrupted when Angelique, who had come to the party uninvited, sees them from a distance. Her jealousy flares up as she watches Barnabas and Victoria together. Later, Barnabas visits Dr. Julia, hoping to continue his treatment. However, he is horrified to find her transfusing his blood into her own body. He realizes her true intentions. Dr. Julia doesn't want to turn him human. She wants to make herself immortal by using his vampire blood. Furious and betrayed, Barnabas attacks and kills her. He then takes Willie with him to dispose of her body, dumping it into the sea. As the night progresses, Barnabas encounters Roger, who is trying to locate the mansion's hidden treasure room. Having already discovered Roger's greedy and selfish nature, Barnabas confronts him. He accuses Roger of marrying David's mother, only for her wealth. Barnabas offers him two choices: either stay at Collinwood and be a good father to David, or leave with a large sum of money from the family's treasure. Roger, unsurprisingly, chooses the money and leaves, abandoning David without a second thought. Heartbroken, David runs upstairs in tears. In his haste, he trips on the stairs, and a heavy object nearly falls on him. Barnabas reacts instantly, saving David in the nick of time. However, the commotion draws everyone's attention. They witness Barnabas's superhuman speed, and when sunlight falls on him, his skin catches fire. Billy quickly pours water on him, extinguishing the flames, but the damage is done. The family now knows the truth. Barnabas is a vampire. Shocked and frightened, everyone distances themselves from him, including Victoria, who struggles to accept what he is. Desperate and frustrated, Barnabas confronts Angelique, begging her to lift the curse. Angelique, however, refuses, and instead offers him two options: live with her as her lover and partner in the business, or be imprisoned in a coffin forever. Barnabas firmly rejects her, saying he would rather endure eternity than be with her. Provoked, Angelique slyly brings up Dr. Julia, hinting that she knows what happened to her. Furious, Barnabas admits, "Yes, I killed her. She betrayed me." This confession is exactly what Angelique wanted. Using her magic, she overpowers Barnabas, chaining him and imprisoning him in a coffin once again. As the lid closes, she smirks, sealing his fate for a second time. Angelique takes Barnabas with her men and sets fire to his fishing factory as a final act of vengeance. She then transports the chained Barnabas, along with his coffin, to a crumbling house deep within the forest and abandons him there. Once she leaves, David arrives, guided by his mother's spirit, and frees Barnabas from his confinement. Meanwhile, the fire at the fishing factory draws the attention of the police and a large crowd. Angelique seizes this opportunity, addressing everyone with a microphone. She accuses Barnabas of Julia's murder and brands him as a criminal. She implicates his family as accomplices for concealing his crime and leads the police to Collinwood. At Collinwood, Angelique declares Barnabas guilty in front of the police and the townsfolk. Enraged, Barnabas lunges at her, slashing her throat. However, Angelique remains unharmed, throwing Barnabas aside with ease. The crowd panics, realizing that both of them are supernatural beings. The police order everyone to evacuate as the confrontation escalates into a fierce and dangerous fight. Elizabeth attempts to stop Angelique by firing a gun at her, but the bullets have no effect. Using her dark magic, Angelique animates the objects within the mansion. A giant snake emerges, attacking Elizabeth, while fire engulfs the room. Barnabas is restrained by a life-size doll brought to life by Angelique's magic. In the chaos, it's revealed that Angelique had cursed Caroline, turning her into a vicious werewolf. Caroline breaks free and attacks Angelique, fiercely attempting to kill her. However, Angelique overpowers Caroline, rendering her unconscious. She then turns her attention to Barnabas, prepared to deliver the final blow. Angelique taunts Barnabas, revealing a cruel truth. She was the one who killed David's mother, not the accident everyone believed. Suddenly, David appears and demands Angelique leave Barnabas alone. If you don't, he warns, my mother will destroy you. At that moment, the spirit of David's mother manifests. Using her supernatural powers, she attacks Angelique, hurling her into a massive chandelier. The impact causes the chandelier to crash down, mortally wounding Angelique. Barnabas breaks free from the doll's grip and tells everyone to leave the mansion immediately. He approaches the dying Angelique, realizing that her end was destined to come this way. Angelique dies moments later. Meanwhile, Victoria heads toward the cliff where Josette had once ended her life. Consumed by despair, she believes that her love for Barnabas is doomed, because a human and a vampire can never truly be together. Barnabas follows her, reaching her just as she prepares to jump. He pleads with her to stop, but Victoria insists that there's only one way they can be united. "Make me a vampire like you," she says. Barnabas refuses, unwilling to curse her with his immortality. Heartbroken, Victoria leaps from the cliff. In a desperate attempt to save her, Barnabas bites her before she hits the ground. His bite transforms her into a vampire, sparing her life. Victoria survives the fall, and as she awakens, the two realize they are now alike. Overcome with joy, they embrace, knowing they can now be together for eternity. In the final scene, the camera pans to the depths of the ocean, where Dr. Julia's corpse lies. Suddenly, her eyes snap open. Barnabas's bite has turned her into a vampire as well. I hope you enjoyed this tale. See you soon with another intriguing story.